So today we're working on a Mercedes Sprinter Jayco Melbourne motorhome Class C. This thing is beautiful. Customer brought it in. I mean, it's in beautiful shape inside and out, and it's extremely low miles. I mean, look at this thing inside. I love these things. I like to have one myself. Has a bunch of EGR issues. It's kind of in reduced power mode. It only has 3,500 miles on the dash. You can see it there. We're going to go ahead and open the hood. I'm going to show you what we're working with. This EGR valve is right in the front. It's really common that these have issues. There it is right there. Has two coolant hoses that go in through it. The EGR cooler's right there. The coolant hoses, they cool down the EGR gases. There's the cooler right there on the side. It's common that these fail and go bad. Sometimes you have to soak the cooler. On this one, we're going to go ahead and remove it. There's the pipe right there that goes to the motor. The valve opens and allows the gases to go be cooled on this side over here. It's not too bad of a job, but what you're going to do, you're going to go ahead and remove some of the stuff out of the way to give you a little bit of space. If you have to, go ahead and swing this coolant reservoir out of the way and that air box. It's only 4 bolts. It's pretty easy. Once you remove those out of the way, you have a lot of space to work with. You're going to remove these clamps right here and then get a catch pan underneath so you can catch the coolant. Once you have the clamps out of the way, obviously, you can go ahead and just pull on those hoses and they'll come right off. You're going to go ahead and use a 6-point socket so you can swing this oil filler cap out of the way. Once you have that space, you can go ahead and remove the bolts of the EGR valve. There they are right there. I think it's 4 bolts. This one I ended up having problems with. It's separated in half. Usually it comes out all together, but the bottom half ended up getting stuck. I got the top half out. So what I ended up having to do, I ended up having to grab some longer bolts and sticking them in there to kind of drive out the bottom piece. That's what it's supposed to look like right there, the whole assembly. On this one, it ended up coming out in half, so it was kind of challenging. Kind of surprised me with only 3,500 miles that it would have this issue, but it was kind of gummed up with soot. So I ended up having to stick it in these 2 little holes right there that you see. You end up driving them down, and it ends up kind of driving out the bottom half of it, kind of like you would a brake rotor or something like that. So there's the bottom half right there. I ended up getting it out. It was a pain, but I got it out right there. You see the 2 locations of the holes that I had to drive it out at right there. One on either side, a little bit at a time. You can get it out. There it is right there. There's the hole. There's a little bit of soot in there. Here's the upper half of the EGR valve right here. This is where the action happens at. As you can see, I'm sticking a screwdriver in there. It's completely jammed, closed. It will not open. So that's where our problem is right there. Seems to be a common issue on these. So as you can see, it's completely jammed and it's completely failed. So we ordered a new one. There it is right here. This is what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to be able to get it with your fingers pretty much, and it'll retract by itself. So let's go ahead and install it right here. You can get one online. Has a new gasket. We're going to stick the new gasket in. We're going to stick the new part in. And we're going to go ahead and install. We're going to bolt it down with the 4 bolts. See, it slides in nice and easy. Make sure it lines up correctly. Drive everything down correctly, and then you can go ahead and stick your coolant hoses on. Make sure you get your connections on, and just reverse the process. Make sure you have everything connected. Once you have the oil filler cap, and you can swing everything back into place, like the coolant reservoir and the air box. Make sure you fill everything up with coolant. Make sure all the clamps are back in place so you don't have any coolant leaks. Then we're going to come back inside. We're going to erase all the codes. We should know right away if we have an issue because the codes would come back on right away. and we would go into lit mode as soon as we took off driving. So now we're going to go ahead and race our check engine light, and we're going to take it for a test drive. We're going to turn it back on. After a glow plug cycle, we'll see if we have any more check engine lights. As you can see, we have no more check engine lights. Would have come on by now. After a test drive, this thing is running perfect, and it's ready to go back to the customer.